Just 11 days into 2024, and ladies and gentlemen, I think we have already found our unhinged liberals of the year. Liberals, plural. An entire choir full of them. You're not going to want to miss today's unhinged liberal of the day. Welcome to the Dan O'Donnell Show. I guess we're just going to have snow days every single day from now until about June. They said we were going to get maybe a dusting. I woke up this morning, there's like 3 inches of fresh snow on my driveway, and we're getting apparently near blizzard conditions. Apparently, in some areas of southeast Wisconsin, we're going to get near blizzard conditions tomorrow throughout the day. So watch out. By about, I'm going to go 1 p.m. I think MPS is going to cancel classes. And then, of course, the rest of the districts will follow suit. Yes, 1 o'clock today, they're going to. This is the thing now. And I'm not saying I disagree with it because parents need as much time as possible. I'm blessed that my kids are older. We don't need to worry about babysitters or whatever. If there's a snow day and my wife and I are both working, as we both do, we just say, all right, sit at home, play video games, play with your Barbies. We'll be home soon. Order some DoorDash or send your 16-year-old brother out for food and supplies. If you would like to join the show today, 414-799-1130, the AdventNews.com talk and text line, open every single minute of every single broadcast. You can always shoot me an email, dod@iheartmedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on Twitter, X, Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. You can watch the show live on either of those social media sites or on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. Smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss a single second. Already a comment up on our YouTube stream. Unhinged Liberal of the Year. Is it too soon? No, dear viewer. I don't believe it is. I'm telling you, when you hear today's Unhinged Liberals of the Day, you will say it is almost impossible to get more unhinged than this. And I'll give you a little hint. You know, there's standard unhinged liberalism. Someone on TikTok screaming about, do you remember the lady screaming at Ruth Bader Ginsburg for daring to die while Trump was still president? Ruth! Ruth! How could you do this to us? Of course, there was the liberal who screamed, no, into the sky as Trump was inaugurated. There are your standard issue elected liberals who say ridiculous things about the end of democracy and Trump putting his opponents in concentration camps. We've almost become immune to that. We're almost numb to that because it happens so often. It is rare you get an entire choir with near perfect harmonies and a cello accompaniment singing an unhinged liberal song. This is so good, it might be the new theme song to the Unhinged Liberal of the Day. Look, the number one rule in sales and broadcasting in life is never overpromise, right? You never want to overpromise and underdeliver. You always want to underpromise and overdeliver. That's sales 101. I honestly don't believe I am overselling this. Trust me, you are going to want to listen. It is Thursday. We take a trip through forgotten history. Chris Christie drops out of the race and is caught on a hot mic doing what Chris Christie does, just kind of talking crap. How does that impact things? Here's a hint, not all that much. That story coming up. Plus, we would be remiss if we did not mention the big story in sports today. Bill Belichick, totally not fired. Totally not asked to leave. It's a mutual decision. It's sort of like a breakup. When your girlfriend dumps you say, oh, yeah, it was a mutual thing. Look, Belichick clearly wanted to stay. Robert Kraft said, no, you're not going to stay. But they've been together for 24 years. So for the kids, I just want to know who gets custody of Tom Brady in this divorce. After 24 years, they are holding a joint press conference, but it is widely expected that Belichick, who is, 71, 72 years old, somewhere in that stretch, is going to go to another team. He's from Tennessee. I didn't know that. And the Tennessee Titans just fired Mike Vrabel, who is widely expected to be a front runner for the New England Patriots job. He played there, and I believe he was a coach there as well. It is remarkable, folks. In 2 days, arguably the greatest college football coach of all time retired, and the greatest NFL coach of all time is stepping aside, but totally not being fired. Who is more likely to actually be fired? Pete Carroll by the Seattle Seahawks or Bill Belichick by the New England Patriots? Carroll at least gets to stay with the organization as a consultant. Belichick is apparently a free agent. I have no doubt. They didn't just say, all right, Bill, clean out your stuff, you're fired. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work where somebody who's been with an organization for 24 years, unless, of course, you're stealing office supplies or something like that. If you're fired for cause, one bad season out of 24, the stat that blows my mind, Belichick coached the Patriots for 24 years. In 9 of those years, they went to the Super Bowl. In 6 of Belichick's 24 years, a quarter of the seasons that he coached the New England Patriots, they won the Super Bowl. That to me is absolutely staggering. So we'll discuss that a little bit as well. Before we go any further, time to win you $1,000 cold hard cash contest time. The word this hour is bills. You have until 55 past this hour to go to our website and enter the keyword bills to enter the contest for this hour. BILLS bills. If your entry is picked at random, you will win $1,000 instantly. Well, a victory lap yesterday by Milwaukee's Mayor Cavalier Johnson, Police Chief Jeffrey Norman, and the Office of Violence Prevention Director Ashanti Hamilton. Milwaukee has avoided a 4th consecutive year of record-high homicides and non-fatal shootings, both categories dropping 20% and 4%. Property crimes fell for a second year in a row, down 13%. Overall, violent crime dropped 3%. Now, a reporter asked Police Chief Norman, who do you credit for this?
21, 22, 23, 23 were all record numbers for murders. A significant drop in 23 after 22's record year. What do you attribute that to?
To us.
All right. He went on and gave a more detailed answer about the partnerships that the police department had. I watched that clip a couple of times, and his face as he said that, he was like just waiting for the reporter to finish his question. Chief Norman goes, yeah, to us. We're awesome. Didn't you know? Didn't you know? Yeah. As I have said for the better part of 3 years now, you cannot compare year-to-year homicide data, violent crime data, overall crime data. What you need to compare it to is to the pre-pandemic, or more accurately stated, pre-George Floyd era of 2017, 2018, and 2019. Those are the baseline years. Everything after what I've termed the George Floyd effect, easily stated, simply stated as the decriminalization of crime, is a direct result of conscious liberal policy decisions to make it far more difficult to prosecute, to convict, and to sentence. And it's been far more darn near impossible, in fact, for police departments to adequately investigate crimes. Here in Milwaukee, we've, of course, seen a dramatic reduction in the number of police officers, sworn officers on the streets, but we've also seen at the exact same time the crime rate was exploding, a dramatic decrease in the number and percentage of felonies and misdemeanors alike that were prosecuted by the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office. Moreover, criminal convictions are down as both raw numbers and total percentage of the number of crimes that are being reported. What's going on? Clearly a conscious policy decision in law enforcement, not just in Milwaukee, but in liberal cities all across the country, to go easy on criminals. And this is something that the left has been remarkably good at for the better part of 50 years now. But it's only in the wake of George Floyd's death that they felt emboldened enough to make this a widespread policy. So while it is true that violent crime is down from 2022 numbers, it is up substantially over the pre-George Floyd era. In 2023 in Milwaukee, there were 169 homicides, 480 rapes, 1,928 robberies, 6,828 aggravated assaults, and 9,405 violent crimes. Now, unlike every other reporter, it seems, in the state of Wisconsin, who's just sort of taking the numbers that the police department and that the city of Milwaukee are giving them at face value and comparing them to the prior year, I actually did actual journalism and compared them to the 3-year average using FBI crime statistics for the city of Milwaukee of 2017, 2018, and 2019. I figure this is a pretty good way to measure a baseline pre-George Floyd effect, pre-liberal decriminalization of crime policy. It's a good comparison to see exactly how far we've fallen. The 3-year average immediately preceding the 2020 George Floyd effect, the average number of violent crimes per year in 2017, 18, and 19, 8,500 violent crimes. We have seen from that average to 2023 a 9% increase. There were, on average, in the 3 years immediately preceding 2020, 105 homicides. We've seen from that number in 2023, the number that they're crowing about, a 61% increase in murders in Milwaukee in just 4 years. We've seen a 7% increase in rapes, a 20% increase in aggravated assaults. The one area where the police chief and the city leaders can actually take a victory lap is in the number of robberies in Milwaukee, which have actually seen a 23% decrease. But with violent crime up nearly 10% over the baseline years of 2017, 2018, and 2019, one wonders exactly why all of the city leaders are taking such a dramatic victory lap. Why yesterday? Why yesterday specifically? This big press conference about how great City of Milwaukee elected officials and appointed officials are doing. Why yesterday? You always have to ask about the timing. Would it have anything to do with the fact that today they're debating giving themselves massive raises? The Dan O'Donnell Show returns with that story next.
Keep in touch with Dan on Twitter @Dan O'Donnell Show. More of the show is next.
You want more fantasy action? You got it. DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, just dropped a brand new way to play. Pick Six. New customers make their first NFL picks, get $100 back in Pick Six credits if you don't win. Getting started, it's easy. Pick a player, choose if he's going to have more or less of a stat. Track your lineup, compete against others for big prizes. Download the DraftKings Pick Six app now and get started with code GREATESTPICK. New customers can get up to $50 back in Pick Six credit if your first pick set loses. Only on DraftKings Pick Six with code GREATESTPICK. The crown is yours. One offer per first-time DraftKings product customer. First qualifying pick set winnings less entry fees must generate negative number. Max reward up to $50 equal to amount of negative number. Issued in non-withdrawable Pick Six credits valid for Pick Six use only. Expire after 1 year. Restrictions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 18 plus. Valid only where DraftKings Pick Six operates. Void where prohibited. See terms at picksix.draftkings.com.
Wisconsin is a great place to live, but the freezing cold weather sucks. Call Charisma Customs to get a remote car starter installed in your vehicle. Get up to a 3-mile range to use your cell phone to start your car. Prices start at $299. Charisma Customs, Delafield, 262-444-2525.
I've heard it often from business owners. I'd love to advertise, but I don't know where to start, and besides, I'm too busy actually running the company. Then you need Saturn Lounge. Jay Weber here saying, remember SaturnLounge.com. It's a great one-stop marketing shop for any size business, even startups. Saturn's president, Jim Colhart, and his team do everything from content strategy and scripting to graphic design and websites to photography and videography. And what sets them apart for me is that they're genuinely invested in your success. Let Saturn Lounge tell the world your story. Start at SaturnLounge.com. If you're someone who is experiencing shoulder, hip, or knee pain and a total joint replacement may be in your future, think orthopedic Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Their physicians are committed to providing the highest quality joint care and specialize in same-day total joint replacements at their own ambulatory surgery center in Pewaukee. Find them at orthowisconsin.com.
Progressive presents 10 things on a contractor's to-do list that are harder than getting a commercial auto insurance quote. Bidding a new client, giving an accurate estimate, finding affordable materials, getting a client to pay you for work you already did, getting a client to pay you, period, securing permits and workers and tools, getting those workers and tools to work together, and finding the perfect pair of overalls. Pockets, baby. But the easiest thing on a small business owner's to-do list? Seeing if you can save on commercial auto insurance. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage subject to policy terms and conditions.
Your pet isn't just a pet, they're part of your family. Most of the pet food on the market is cooked at high temperatures, which kills nutrients. A scoop of Dinovite is a 3-in-1 daily supplement, adding back key nutrients to your pup's health. Try Dinovite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio. That's dinovite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dinovite.
Take you back to May 23rd of last year. Milwaukee's Mayor Cavalier Johnson was testifying before the state legislature, basically on his knees, prostrating himself before Republicans, begging for more shared revenue and the ability to levy a 2% city sales tax. Why? Because the city was in such dire financial straits that if nothing was done, we would be insolvent by 2025. You wouldn't even have a police department to investigate crimes. You wouldn't have a fire department. You wouldn't have basic city services. Please, Republican-controlled state legislature, give us the money we need for the people.
By 2025, though, the city will face insolvency, which will force massive cuts to general city workers, to firefighters, as well as police officers. That will dramatically increase our emergency response times. It'll harm quality of life in the city of Milwaukee, and it'll reduce basic city services to unacceptable levels.
Republican legislature was moved by that testimony, understanding that the city's pension crisis was one of its own making, but one that it would never be able to crawl out of. Milwaukee County as well. There was no choice, really. And a shared revenue municipal sales tax bill was passed and signed into law by Governor Tony Evers last summer. Thank heavens. Because on January 1st, the city of Milwaukee was finally able to levy its own sales tax and begin generating the revenue it needed really to survive. Well, it took a grand total of 10 days for us to fully realize exactly why Mayor Johnson was so desperately in need of that money. As first reported right here on the Dan O'Donnell Show, they want to give themselves raises. The salaries of elected officials, mayor, city attorney, common council members, city controller, city treasurer, and municipal judges, all rising by between $11,000 and $30,000 per year. At the low end, this is from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, at the low end, council members would make $84,205. While at the top, the mayor and city attorney would make $169,436. And if there is one city official who's really doing a bang-up job, it is the city attorney, Tierman Spencer. Can you think of a single human being in city government, nay, in government in this state, who is more deserving of a massive raise than old Tierman? Can we dig up Tierman Spencer's old ambulance chasing attorney commercial where he said, Tierman, the Tierman Law Group or the Spencer Law Group, he turned my pain into rain. And the video on the screen shows a woman literally getting drenched with dollar bills in what's totally not an evocative image of, a stripper. And given how Tierman Spencer behaves as city attorney, maybe that was a little bit of foreshadowing. Salaries of those who hold unelected positions at the top of city government would, of course, also rise. Salary range for many of them hovers around $200,000, while those in the highest paid positions would well exceed that figure. The increases taking effect at the beginning of the 2024 term in office. The raises would cost $1.8 million for the remainder of 2024, $2.8 million for a full year. And then on top of that, according to this municipal ordinance advanced by the Finance and Personnel Committee yesterday, literally the same day, almost at the exact same time, the city's mayor and police chief and director of violence prevention office all were talking about what a great job they did, how much they deserved these raises. Sure enough, this committee was putting it forward, meaning that today, starting today, the full Common Council is considering whether or not to give itself a substantial raise. What do you think the vote is going to be on that? Starting in 2025, elected officials' pay would also increase by 3% each year unless general city employees receive a smaller increase, in which case the elected officials' pay raise would match general city employees. This, I believe, was a direct response. Now, this municipal ordinance came out after we found the proposal from the city's Department of Employment Relations back in October and reported exclusively that this was how they were using the money that they begged for. Look, folks, and a lot of liberals, a lot of apologists for the city fathers, the, shall we say, incompetent Tammany Hall that exists in Milwaukee. We're saying, well, Dan, don't you think we need to attract the best people by offering competitive salaries? Sure. Yeah, but not when you're begging and essentially misleading the state legislature by saying, well, if we don't get this city is going to fall apart. You immediately turn around. I did notice that the very first thing they took up in the new session of the Common Council, right after the first of the year, they get the money, and then it's like a kid who gets his allowance and runs right to the candy store. They just can't help themselves. They want to give themselves more money. And so, of course, Mayor Johnson and Police Chief Norman say, look, we deserve this money. Look at how we have gotten violent crime down so substantially. It's not that the issue is the money or the raises itself. The issue is the fact that they were pleading poverty not 10 months ago. And now, as soon as they get the money, did anyone hear about any plan at all during the entire debate? And it was a very public, very heated debate over whether or not Milwaukee should get more shared revenue. We were told, well, Milwaukee is struck. Now, every other city in the entire state is and has always been on the state pension system, right? Except Milwaukee, which just had to give itself a far more lavish system. Everybody knows about Milwaukee County's backdrops and the scandal that erupted there about 20 years ago. City of Milwaukee is nearly as bad. It's bankrupting itself because of the sheer weight of the people collecting pensions. Now, I'm not saying by any stretch that the city can renege on its obligations to its retirees, not at all. But when you've got a city that has been so hell-bent on spending on frivolous nonsense, such as, yes, of course, I'm going to bring up the streetcar, which costs an estimated, $5 to $7 million a year to operate. And they have absolutely no intention of ever putting in fare boxes or ever charging for this or ever establishing a scenario in which that streetcar can return any possible return on the investment or generate any revenue. Yes, it's going to be a sore spot for people who have to pay for this. Not only that, guess who is talking about a massive $250 million plus referendum? Milwaukee Public Schools. What do you suppose is that's going to do to property taxes. We got sales tax going up. We've got property taxes going up. We've got fees going up all over the place in the city of Milwaukee. And we've got a dramatically increased violent crime rate from the pre-pandemic, pre-George Floyd era. If you haven't figured it out yet, folks, it's probably past time to get out of the city of Milwaukee or any city that's run by liberals. Dan O'Donnell Show, coming right back.
Conservative thought, not just talk. You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
Save big money on Clearview Cabinetry. Clearview Cabinetry starts as a kitchen built for now and grows with you as life changes. It's flexible by design with full access cabinet construction, so you can go from doors to drawers for storage that works when you need it. Explore Clearview's cabinet options in store and on Menards.com and save big money today. Big buys, big savings. Check out more of our great deals going on now at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Skip waiting for a table. Enjoy a homemade fish fry every Friday at Sendik's. Enjoy 3 pieces of beer-battered, wild-caught Northern Atlantic cod with your choice of Sendik's original potato pancakes or French fries. Your meal comes with all the fixins: fresh rye bread, creamy coleslaw, homemade applesauce, and Sendik's tartar sauce. Or choose from fried shrimp, walleye fillets, or baked cod. Every Friday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at your neighborhood Sendik's. Sendik's Food Markets, your trusted local grocer.
Dan O'Donnell here alongside Dave Spano, President and CEO of Annex. It's This Week with Annex Wealth Management, and on this, the first full trading week of 2024, we look forward to what's expected to be a year of surprises, starting and ending almost, it seems, Dave, with the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, we talked a lot about the Fed's pivot. In other words, were they going to go from rate hikes to pausing? And that's really what they did. They signaled that they were going to pause on their rate hikes after significant rate hikes over 18 months. So that has paused. Now they are signaling a pivot. And what do they mean by a pivot? That means that they might start lowering interest rates in 2024. In fact, they are signaling, Dan, that they might lower rates 3 times in 24. The market thinks it may even be more than that. So if you start to see interest rates start coming down, that has an effect on a lot of things. Not only bonds, because they move in inverse directions of price. You look at also stocks, real estate, mortgage. All of this, Dan, is going to have a dramatic effect on people's financial lives, not to mention the rest of the conversations that we're going to have to spend this year talking about policy and elections.
Yeah, of course, the election is going to be a dominant thing that we talk about in the world of politics, in the world of economics. It is all about the Fed and how the election, how policy impacts the Fed's decision. And, oh, yeah, there's a whole lot of global uncertainty, too. With all of that as a backdrop, you really do need a fee-only fiduciary who's working with and for you and can take a look at your portfolio through a free wealth metric available only at AnnexWealth.com. For Dave Spano, the president and CEO of Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. This has been This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus.
Yeah, I hear you got low prices on mattresses.
Our 43 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393.
But you can go lower. Capiche?
Tell you what, through Monday, trade in your old mattress for a new Beautyrest, Sealy Posturepedic, or Serta Perfect Sleeper at any employee-free Hassleus showroom, and we'll knock an extra $200 off. Plus, free next-day delivery.
You've made me an offer I can't refuse.
Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hassleus.com.
Hey guys, welcome to the Home Box Stop. Ready for those new kitchen cabinets and countertops? Okay, well, let's get you guys going. Inches, centimeters, inches, right?
Right.
Is this your first time? Oh, no. Been here for years. Actually, in light bulbs. I'm covering for Karen. She took the week off. One sec. No worries. The computer does all the work.
Customer assistance to light bulbs.
Oh, that's me, BRB.
Yeah,
let's go.
Granite Plus?
Hurry, here she comes.
Hi, I'm Laz with Granite Plus. Countertops and cabinets is what we do. As a meticulously detailed local fabricator, say goodbye to the middleman and upgrade your home with real factory direct savings. Homeowners, flippers, contractors, why would you pay more? Go to GranitePlusUSA.com, that's GranitePlusUSA.com, or visit any of our Milwaukee area showrooms and start saving today.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer.
Is here to level the playing field. Easy to rack slide, easy to control ergonomic grip. It's designed for you. With a 10, 13, and 15 round magazine included, size up for better control or size down for easier concealment. Don't miss out on the opportunity to upgrade your safety. Visit your local dealer now. To learn more about the Equalizer, visit smith-wesson.com. Smith & Wesson, empowering Americans. All capacity sizes may not be available in your jurisdiction. Be sure to check your local laws and regulations.
Hey, it's Vicki McKenna here, inviting you to join my annual fishing trip to Ontario's Lake of the Woods. Our destination is Ballard's Black Island Resort for the annual Vicki McKenna Canadian Fishing Adventure. The guides, the fishing, food, and the accommodations are all top shelf. The dates this year, July 7th to the 13th, and we only have room for 20 guests, so spaces will go quickly. Join me, Vicki McKenna, and sign up by going to blackisland.com. That's blackisland.com, and let's set the hook.
Liars, cheats, Democratic politicians, liberal media types. Instead, listen to this.
It is the Dan O'Donnell Show, conservative thought, not just talk. A double dose of Dan today and each Monday through Thursday, pretty much every week until May 1st. I think I terrified some of Belling's audience yesterday. I didn't. Dave says, did you turn on the Dano cam and they saw your face and recoiled in horror? No, I am, I fully admit, an acquired taste. If you're not used to the style, we do things differently around here. We like to have fun. We poke fun at liberals and liberalism more generally, to wit. I am so excited. I am like counting down the minutes before I can unveil, just 11 days into 2024, quite possibly the unhinged liberals of the year. The year. I know that's a bold statement. We specialize in being bold, big and bold on this program. Sort of like Mayor Cavalier Johnson, who's proposing and demanding, really, a big and bold raise for himself. Almost the millisecond that Milwaukee County District Attorney John Chisholm announced his retirement, the fact that he wasn't seeking another term as DA, his top deputy, Kent Lovern, like Tracy Flick from the movie Election, raised his hand and said, me, it's my turn, it's my turn. This guy is like he's sort of like the King Charles of Milwaukee politics. He's been with the DA's office for at least 20 years, and he's just been waiting for the queen to die, and now it's his turn. It's his turn. His turn. I will commend the reporter he had a sit-down interview with, today's TMJ4's Sean Gallagher, for challenging Lovern on his complicity in the demise of law and order in the city of Milwaukee. Oh, no. Everything's going great. Didn't you hear the press conference? We're down. The murder rate is down. Now, it's still up about 30% from the 3-year average before the George Floyd effect. But Gallagher actually actually challenged Lovern, and to Lovern's credit, he said all the right things.
Improving safety is an urgent matter. While violent crimes like homicides are down over 20% from 2022, it's still far from pre-pandemic numbers, an 80% jump in murders from 2018.
People should feel safe in their daily lives. And the way to do that, certainly traditionally and fundamentally, is to take a very strong response in the criminal justice system, in the court system, to those who are committing violent crime against other people.
All right. Sounds great, right? Kudos to Gallagher for hitting them with this line immediately after.
It's a stance that would be a change from the last few years in the DA's office. From 2015 to 2022, the number of people charged with felonies by the county's district attorney's office has plummeted. Felony charges are down nearly 17% during that time frame, something Lovern wants to change through improving efficiencies and communication for law enforcement agencies in the county.
Oh, Kent. Kent, you are doing so well. Hey, can we stop and give a golf clap to Sean Gallagher for actually engaging in journalism? Now, of course, my follow-up question when Lovern says, yes, we want to be tougher on crime, it would have been very simple. Well, why didn't you? John Chisholm was not prosecuting all of these cases, nor was he delegating them to assistant district attorneys. Why did you stand by and allow the stated policy of the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office to, in the words of one ADA, to use cash bail as little as possible, to work towards the elimination of cash bail, something that we have seen be absolutely devastating to New York City and pretty much everywhere else that's tried it? It got so bad in New York City when they eliminated cash bail a couple of years ago. Within 8 months, they had to revamp, they had to edit the law, they had to make more scenarios in which cash bail would be allowed because so many criminals were out and just committing crime after crime after crime. If I'm Lovern, or rather I'm Gallagher, I'm asking Lovern very simply, look, you were around when Chisholm took office and had deferred prosecution agreements with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of felons who immediately violated those agreements, and you did nothing. In some cases, even after they committed crimes, after getting a deferred prosecution agreement, which means you didn't prosecute them, they commit new crimes, and yet the original deferred prosecution agreement is extended. Can you please explain how that comports? You stood by and allowed this. Is John Chisholm a tyrant? You thought he was going to beat you behind closed doors if you raised an objection to this? I haven't heard a single thing from Lovern in the 20-some years that he's been working as an assistant district attorney that would suggest to me that he'd be any different than John Chisholm. And this answer basically proves it.
I think we've seen that program work very, very well, that relationship built to be even stronger, and I expect that to continue moving forward in the days and years ahead.
What he is talking about is partnering with the business community to deal with the root causes of criminality, which he believes are joblessness, poverty, and the like. This, to me, has always been, when leftists talk about the symptoms of criminality, well, if you live in poverty, if you experience homelessness, if you experience addiction or abuse in your family, naturally you're going to turn to crime. This, to me, is a slap in the face to all of the Milwaukeeans and all of the people who do, but don't start shooting up bars because they see a rival gangbanger that they don't like. It's insulting in the extreme to everybody who has been able to escape that sort of environment and make something of themselves, to own their own house, to get out of the horrible neighborhoods, to get an education, to get a good job, to achieve the American dream. It's a slap in the face. Well, if you have poverty, I hear this all the time. If you're experiencing poverty, if you're experiencing familial or environmental dysfunction, well, of course you're going to turn to crime. Really? Really? That's a value judgment about somebody's character, somebody's ethics, based solely on where they grew up. Why, if I didn't know better, I would say people who believe that sort of nonsense are a little bit classist and racist. criminality is a conscious choice. And unfortunately, liberals have this romanticized notion about criminals that they're all Robin Hoods, robbing the rich gas station to provide for their families. Because they just don't have enough to eat, Dan. Don't you know? They are turning to sticking up liquor stores and smashing the windows out of cars, not to steal the firearms that are inside so they can engage in organized criminal activity. No, because they just need that Colt 45 to feed their family. Apparently, there are a whole lot of families in Milwaukee's inner city eating bullets and gunpowder. Who knew? They're stripping down these guns, boiling them up in a nice stew. This sort of naive nonsense, I think, is what underpins a whole lot of the leftist approach to criminality. This belief that, they're just good people who are forced into a life of crime by their societal circumstance. Really, it's all of our faults. And we need to partner with the business community and those wealthy folks who can do something about this. No. What you need to do is to remove the 5% of people in the city who are committing almost 90% of the crimes and remove their ability to victimize the innocent 95% of people who are forced to live with them because there's no reason that they would ever have to believe that they're ever going to feel safe. All right, we've got to leave a little bit extra time for the unhinged liberal of the day. Trust me, folks, you are going to want to hear this. Stay tuned. Dan O'Donnell Show coming back in just a second.
Conservative thought, not just talk. The Dan O'Donnell Show is coming right back.
The Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest is a podcast. Hosted every Thursday after 7:30 p.m., we will preview the big football games of the weekend and get point spread picks from me, Mike Burlett, Paul, and an audience contestant on the iHeart app or wherever you get your podcast. The Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest podcast, the podcast for your football weekend.
Football information that's both engaging and useful. The Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest podcast from News Talk 1130 WISN.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit. HIMS.com/RADIO.
This is Michael Lynch from the Lynch Truck Center. We've been working hard sourcing work trucks from all over the country. We currently have over 300 commercial work trucks in stock and ready for your choice of upfit. Our sales team is 100% dedicated to commercial trucks, which means our truck professionals can get you the right truck right now. Our new inventory of Chevrolet, GMC, Isuzu, Hino, not to mention our used inventory, combined with nearly 30 commercial financial lenders, ensures the lowest rates possible for you and the fastest buying experience. Our service center has over 20 dedicated truck bays running 2 shifts, a contact-free sales process, and delivery drivers ready to deliver your truck right to your door. We know your time is important, so we make sure our process is quick and hassle-free. Find your new truck today at lynchtruckcenter.com or stop into the Lynch Truck Center at Highway 36 in Waterford. We won't disappoint you.
You've worked hard to build your net worth, but what happens when you leave it behind? Get peace of mind by creating your estate plan with Bogar Law Offices. From simple plans to the complex, Bogar Law Offices has multiple options to help you ensure your legacy is protected. From wills to trusts, power of attorney, probate, and trust administration, we will educate you so that you know your options. A proper estate plan is unique to you and your family. Bogar Law Offices in Germantown and Mequon. Call 262-255-4500 or online at bogarlawoffices.com.
Who services and installs wells and sump pumps? Who does plumbing and repairs? How about water heaters? Who does that?
S&K Pump and Plumbing.
But who services and installs water softeners and iron filters? And what about kitchen or bathroom remodeling? Who does that? There must be one company that can handle all of your water needs. Who can you call?
When it comes to water, one call does it all. S&K Pump and Plumbing.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Will you retire well? Get the answer by scheduling your complimentary retirement review today at thekowalway.com or give us a call at 262-522-4040. Our team of nationally recognized fiduciary advisors are here to help you feel more confident about your retirement.
Hi, Bob Pucci for the Take Kid Hunting Foundation. We're having the Waukesha Gun Show this weekend at the Waukesha Expo next to the airport. Show hours are Friday from 3 p.m. to 8, Saturday 9 to 5, and Sunday 9 to 3. Admission is $8, 14 under are free.
Wisconsin is a great place to live, but the freezing cold weather sucks. Call Charisma Customs to get a remote car starter installed in your vehicle. Get up to a 3-mile range to use your cell phone to start your car. Prices start at $299. Charisma Customs, Delafield, 262-444-2525.
The next time you're due for service, visit richlawns.com to schedule an appointment at any of our 5 conveniently located facilities.
All AAA approved and all staffed by ASE certified technicians ready to serve you.
Richlands.
Talk Radio.
Redefined.
You're listening to The Dan O'Donnell Show.
All right, without any further ado, it's time to name our unhinged liberal of the day.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany.
Does that make me crazy?
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil.
America is over.
It is the All Souls Choir singing the song Identity Politics, based on the writing of Melissa Dunphy, Stacey Abrams, and Nicole Hannah-Jones, who authored the 1619 Project, under the direction of John Heyman and accompanied by Deveray Lewis on the cello. Here are several dozen lefties, every single one of them masked, singing a rousing song about how our rights depend on voter ID. Unfortunately, that's all we have. This video started making the rounds. It was relayed to me from Megyn Kelly's Twitter account by a loyal listener. I have no idea when it was recorded. I thought sometime in 2020, 2021, because everyone's wearing a mask, though as producer Dave reminded me, with liberals this nuts, they're probably still all wearing masks. Now, I recognize it was probably difficult for you to hear exactly what they were saying. So here it is again with me speaking the lyrics. Our rights depend on whether we live in the right state. Our rights depend on where we were born. for the unhinged liberal of the day. I might use this as my show's theme song for a couple of weeks. Thank you so much to John from Sturdivant, as well as a loyal listener who goes by the handle Nuke. Both of you found the full video. It is from the All Souls Choir of the All Souls Church Unitarian DC Church. Shocker that this is a Unitarian church. All Souls Unitarian Church is in Washington, DC. I don't have an address for it. This was from a year ago, so producer Davis is sort of right that these people were wearing masks. Every single person in this video is masked, and except the choir director, as John watching this stream on YouTube points out, the choir director is not masked, so there is still privilege for the elites, even years after COVID-19 masking was a thing. Now, there is a full version. I said this kind of just cuts off after about 2 minutes. It is a 3-minute and 59-second song, according to the video posted October 26th, 2022, so a little bit more than a year ago. This is from Melissa Dunphy's amendment, Righting Our Wrongs, with text by Stacey Abrams, Melissa Dunphy, and Ida B. Wells. The song is called Identity Politics. We will have the full video up. I'm going to call this church because I want the backstory on this song. This is the biggest banger of 2024. I'm calling it right now. You are not getting a more unhinged group of liberals. They have it all. They have it all. Okay? They're all wearing masks. They're singing a song about our rights depend on whether we have the time to stand in line for hours on a weekday. That's an honest to goodness line from the song. Yes, this was when the Georgia voting bill was a thing. Our rights depend on whether we live in the right state. Our rights depend on when and where we were born. Our rights depend on how or when our families arrived. Our rights depend on whether we can afford valid ID. Now, you might think that since the big focus of the Georgia bill for lefties was that this was Jim Crow on steroids, right? What did President Biden say? It's not Jim Crow, it's Jim Eagle. Jim Eagle. All the while failing to mention that Delaware still has stricter voting requirements than does Georgia. You would think, right? This was an inner city church. Every single person, save for maybe one. And I'm telling you, there are like 36 people in the All Souls Choir. Every single one except one person is a white boomer liberal. This video, I'm telling you, this is giving me life. I will admit, doing a couple of shows, first couple of days, it's always a rough transition. My voice was a little, as Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago would say, raggedy. My voice was a little raggedy. Unlike Mayor Johnson, I actually used the word raggedy in the proper context. You know, I was feeling a little physically tired. You know, it's hard. It's hard doing 5 hours of broadcasting, mentally and physically exhausting, right? On top of that, I have to shovel my driveway. Okay, obviously I have a snowblower, but still you got to walk and kind of push the snowblower. So I've been tired, but this video, ladies and gentlemen, is giving me life. It is sustaining me. This level of unhinged liberalism will power me through the next 4 months. Cold hard cash contest time. Word this hour, cash, C-A-S-H, cash. You have until 55 past the hour to go to our website, enter the keyword cash to enter the contest for this hour. You win $1,000 if your entry is picked at random. However, there is a caveat. Your rights to win this contest depend on whether the criminal justice system has convicted us of certain crimes under the law, a system that targets some of us more than others. This is the next battle for our contesting, one where all citizens can have their say about the vision we want for our contests, with liberty and prizes for all. Our rights to win this contest depend on whether we have the time to stand in line for hours on a weekday. Our rights to win this contest depend on whether our names were purged from the rolls. I cannot even tell you how much I love this song. Almost as much as I love hearing Democrats say that the Hunter Biden scandal is all about Joe being a good father. Take it away, Jim Clyburn.
Would you have advised Hunter Biden to appear at today's hearing? How big of a distraction, liability is he to the president's reelection bid?
Well, I think it's a distraction, but I don't think it's a liability. I think that all this is going to do is demonstrate what a good father Joe Biden is.
The talking point has come out from the White House, hasn't it? And they've been saying this for the better part of 2 years now.
The Hunter Biden story, the scandal, the this, the that, it's also the story of a father's love.
The only thing the president can be guilty of here is being a father.
I will tell you what the president has been guilty of. He has unfortunately been guilty of loving his child unconditionally.
The president, the first lady, they love their son and they support him as he continues to rebuild his life.
My bet is right now this is a heartbroken president in the White House who is worried about his son.
He is being a father to his son. You don't impeach a man for being a father to his children.
Yes, that was Clyburn again at the tail end of our montage, including former Circleback press secretary, current MSNBC spin doctress Jen Psaki, current White House press secretary KJP, Karine Jean-Pierre, as well as Ana Navarro of The View, all in that montage. Hunter Biden will be back in court today. A judge is going to decide just how worthy of love from his father Hunter Biden will. Just kidding. He's facing serious, and I mean serious, federal charges, far more serious than the ones he faced because Joe Biden is a father who loves his son and rather obviously put pressure on the Department of Justice to subsequently, as multiple IRS whistleblowers alleged, put pressure on IRS investigators not to look into any financial crime that could potentially tie the old man to the obvious bribery scheme that his son was the bag man for. This is, as I have called it from really 2020 on, the forbidden knowledge. The fact that you have a president who isn't just completely out of it, going senile before our very eyes. So out of it, in fact, that now they have Jill Biden, Dr. Jill, who also loves the president's son very much, standing up there with him while he's giving speeches or taking questions from a pre-selected list of reporters. She actually takes him by the hand and guides him to the exit. It still boggles my mind when you're on a stage. I've given a lot of speeches in my day. There are two ways you can get off the stage: stage left and stage right. You would think that he would get it right once, just 50%. You would think the law of averages, there is a binary choice, stage left, stage right. It's like flipping a coin. How does he get it wrong as consistently as it does? This would be like if he flipped a coin and it landed heads like 54 consecutive times. It is remarkably unlikely that he's this much of a buffoon, but alas, this is what we're left with. What we are left with in the Republican primary field is Donald Trump and pretty much just Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley. Sure, Vivek Ramaswamy is still technically in the race. Sure, Asa Hutchinson is still technically in the race. But let's face it, this race is probably going to be over by, I'm going to call it 11 p.m. Monday night. If, as expected, Donald Trump dominates the Iowa caucuses, the narrative will be too hard to overcome. There's going to be essentially no chance that Haley or DeSantis wins in New Hampshire, and certainly not in South Carolina, even though that's obviously where Nikki Haley is from. Chris Christie dropped out of the race yesterday, and of course, as only Chris Christie can, on his way up to the stage to announce his gracious exit from the race, or at least as gracious as Chris Christie can be, he gets caught on a hot mic blasting Haley and DeSantis.
Yeah, I mean, look, she spent $68 million so far, just on TV. Spent $68 million so far, $59 million by DeSantis, and we spent 12. I mean, who's punching above their weight and who's getting a return on their investment, you know? And she's going to get smoked, and you and I both know it. She's not up to this.
She hasn't even checked.
She's still 20 points behind Trump in New Hampshire, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he's still going to carry Iowa, right?
Yes. Always. I talked to DeSantis called me, petrified that I would.
He's probably getting out after Iowa.
Well,
it cuts off there. What he was almost certainly going to say was petrified that I was going to endorse Nikki Haley. In fact, Christie didn't endorse anyone. May I say, for the record, Christie's asking, who's punching above their weight? Now, isn't it physically impossible for Chris Christie to punch above his weight? Okay, I promise with him out of the race, that is the last weight joke I'm going to make about Chris Christie. It does go to show you, though, and I think if I were a Democrat strategist, I would take note. You cannot win over people by just blasting Donald Trump. Certainly not Republicans, but general election voters are also, I think, going to get weird. Look, Trump has been charged over and over and over again. Trump has dominated the news cycle since the moment he first came down the escalator. Even amidst all the criminal charges that Democrats thought, this is going to knock him out of the race, his polling status has gone up and up and up. Why? Because people recognize how disastrous Joe Biden has been. More evidence of that coming up next with inflation numbers that were just released earlier this morning.
Classical conservatism, contemporary style. This is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
This is Michael Lynch from the Lynch Truck Center. We've been working hard sourcing work trucks from all over the country. We currently have over 300 commercial work trucks in stock and ready for your choice of upfit. Our sales team is 100% dedicated to commercial trucks, which means our truck professionals can get you the right truck right now. Our new inventory of Chevrolet, GMC, Isuzu, Hino, not to mention our used inventory, combined with nearly 30 commercial financial lenders, ensures the lowest rates possible for you and the fastest buying experience. Our service center has over 20 dedicated truck bays running 2 shifts, a contact-free sales process, and delivery drivers ready to deliver your truck right to your door. We know your time is important, so we make sure our process is quick and hassle-free. Find your new truck today at lynchtruckcenter.com or stop into the Lynch Truck Center at Highway 36 in Waterford. We won't disappoint you.
Hi, this is Diane Chamness. Tune in to Business Solutions this Saturday as we discuss important and informative business topics and provide helpful information to businesses just like yours. Get great advice from local and regional experts on how to improve and grow your firm.
Listen for Business Solutions this Saturday from 3 to 4 p.m.
The Fed is setting a digital dollar control trap. The new FedNow system might sound modern and convenient, but the truth is, it's all about surveillance and control. Don't be fooled. Secure your assets right now with something Washington cannot manipulate. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon, former advisor to Donald Trump. And in these times of uncertainty, I believe the best way to defend your savings is to use tangible assets, which is why I recommend a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. Because gold has a 5,000-year track record as the ultimate guardian of wealth. To find out more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold Group by texting the word SECURE to 989898. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, so text SECURE to the number 989898. That's SECURE to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs. There's no obligation or purchase required.
Message and data rates may apply.
Looking to build or remodel? Then check out the 2024 MBA Home Building and Remodeling Show, presented by Nuns, January 12th through 14th at State Fair Park. Meet over 150 exhibitors, and be sure to visit the Bell Bank Parade of Playhomes, the backyard area by Excel Custom Contractors, and the Step Beyond Green to Healthy feature area. Don't miss the MBA Home Building and Remodeling Show this weekend at State Fair Park. Visit MBAHomeshow.com for more information.
There's only one store that gives you every possible choice in diamonds.
Welcome to Kessler's.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
All right, Stephen. I'm sorry. It's in my head now. It is the definitive banger of 2024. I'm calling it Our Rights Depend. It's actually a song called Identity Politics from our unhinged liberals of the day, the All Souls Choir of Washington, D.C. We'll have that up. I'm thinking when I do the Belling show this afternoon, we're going through the entire song because this is simply too funny not to. A 2-minute clip of it is making the rounds on social media. A loyal listener actually turned me on to it from Megyn Kelly's Twitter feed, and all of the big national conservatives are on it. It's on notthebee.com, the Babylon Bees non-satire site. And really, this is beyond any satire that Seth Dillon or The Onion or anyone could come up with. This is like Mark Twain, Oscar Wilde level satire. Only it's not satire. It's actual liberals singing an actual song about our rights depending on whether or not we can stand in line for hours on a weekday. Inflation report up today.
Hey, Mr. President, all you congressmen too, you got me frustrated, and I don't know what to do. I'm trying to make a living. I can't save a cent. It takes all of my money just to eat and pay my rent. I got the blues. Got those inflation blues. Yes, I have.
Inflation ticked up by a rather substantial amount in December, 3.4% year over year, a larger increase than the 3.1% rate in November. Data released by the Labor Department this morning shows this is largely due to the cost of motor vehicle insurance, which rose 1.5% from the previous month, marking a 20% year-over-year increase. Cost of housing did account for more than half the monthly increase in consumer prices. Food and energy prices also up in December. So-called core inflation rate, which excludes the more volatile food and energy costs, up 3.9% last month. Now, this is after about 5 straight months of the Biden administration crowing about how they got inflation under control by having the Federal Reserve dramatically spike interest rates, essentially making moving to a new home unaffordable. But just as it's improper, it's not giving you the full picture to just look at year-over-year inflation rates. You need to look at 3-year inflation rates, because starting in about March, April of 2021, right as the first Biden stimulus checks were hitting people's pocketbooks, inflation skyrocketed. And even though it's come down from 40-year highs of 9%, prices don't go down when inflation goes down. I can't believe I have to explain this to people, but I do. The rate of inflation is the rate that prices rose on a monthly or annualized basis. I would posit that in order to get a full picture of just how far and how fast prices have risen, you need to look at 3 years. Because one of the big reasons that inflation has slowed down over the past couple of years is that it's sort of folded in on itself. What eventually happens is that goods are priced out of the market. When people are paying so much more for basic necessities, they stop buying things that they can afford to cut out of their lifestyles. In other words, demand dramatically shrinks. And that is what a lot of smart economists, people who are a lot smarter than me, believe a big reason for the dramatic decline in the rate of inflation is. People are already stretched so thin that they're just not buying the things that they used to be able to afford. And who could blame them? Producer Dave, you and I are very blessed to do what we do for a living. We make a good living doing what we do. Did you get an $11,000 raise last year? Specifically, did you get a raise of $11,435 last year? Did anyone in our listening audience get such a raise last year? Dave says, is Cavalier Johnson listening to this? Yeah, he wants to give himself a big raise. Maybe it's to keep up with inflation. Nobody gets that kind of raise. Okay, yes, I did get that big of a raise, but in case you didn't notice, last year I started doing an extra 3 hours of radio for a quarter of the year. So yes, I was paid to do the Belling Show, and it was a good amount. But yes, I added work. It's essentially like I took on another full-time job, okay? So I was paid accordingly. The average person is not getting an $11,435 raise. It would take that much to overcome, or even an $11,435 raise over the course of 3 years, which is still probably not too likely, to overcome the amount of money extra that it's costing you in Biden's economy to pay for the things that you were once easily able to afford when he took office in January of 2021. In fact, a recent analysis shows the average American family is paying $11,434 per year more to afford the same stuff. It's possibly more helpful for those of us who have monthly budgets that we have to stay within to think about it like this. That money averages to an extra $953 per month that the average American family has had to come up with just to stay afloat. And then the arrogance of people in the Biden administration and members of the media say, well, why don't the plebeians understand how great Bidenomics has been for them? The stock market is hitting record highs. Outside of a 401k, how much investment do you think, how many stocks do you think the average person who is struggling to make an extra $953 a month in their budget work for them, how many stocks do you think? Do you think they're rolling in Tesla stock right now? Of course not. The other thing about this is because it is such a substantial amount of money that people have to come up with on a monthly basis, it's impacting the labor market. I have posited for some time now, and I haven't done a deep enough dive into the data, which, by the way, every single jobs number that the Biden administration reported in calendar year 2023 was revised downward. All 12, every single one. In other words, they were way too optimistic. Weirdly, the Labor Department was trying to paint a rosier picture of the job market than one that actually existed. But it is my very strong contention that all of the jobs that are quote unquote being created are in fact in the gig economy or part-time work, as people who are no longer able to come up with that extra $953 to support their lifestyles have to do something. At some point, you can't cut anymore, and you have to add more hours to your workload. When that happens, of course, the job market is going to look better, but people's personal economies aren't. That's what we're dealing with right now. Dan O'Donnell Show, back in a sec.
This is
Brad Youngbluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. The Energy Star ratings for windows are getting a lot tougher to get the tax credits, so you're going to want to take advantage of. Fortunately, we still have options that will qualify you for those tax credits. Now, I can sit here and talk benefits of this product or what's great about that product. So can everybody else. But what a lot of operations can't do is with complete confidence stand behind the crew that's going to be on that next job. Talk is cheap, I get it, but our people are exceptional. How do I know? Because me and Vito handpick every single person that makes our team. Some make the cut, a lot don't. And that's why you can be confident that the windows we install for you will be top quality, installed right, and that you're going to get great service. And that's never failed us. So for your home's new windows, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Dan O'Donnell here alongside Dave Spano, President and CEO of Annex. It's This Week with Annex Wealth Management, and on this, the first full trading week of 2024, we look forward to what's expected to be a year of surprises, starting and ending almost, it seems, Dave, with the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, we talked a lot about the Fed's pivot. In other words, were they going to go from rate hikes to pausing? And that's really what they did. They signaled that they were going to pause on their rate hikes after significant rate hikes over 18 months. So that has paused. Now they are signaling a pivot. And what do they mean by a pivot? They mean that they might start lowering interest rates in 2024. In fact, they are signaling, Dan, that they might lower rates 3 times in 24. The market thinks it may even be more than that. So if you start to see interest rates start coming down, that has an effect on a lot of things. Not only bonds, because they move in inverse directions of price. You look at also stocks, real estate, mortgage. All of this, Dan, is going to have a dramatic effect on people's financial lives, not to mention the rest of the conversations that we're going to have to spend this year talking about policy and elections.
Yeah, of course, the election is going to be a dominant thing that we talk about in the world of politics, in the world of economics. It is all about the Fed and how the election, how policy impacts the Fed's decision. And, oh, yeah, there's a whole lot of global uncertainty, too. With all of that as a backdrop, you really do need a fee-only fiduciary who's working with and for you and can take a look at your portfolio through a free wealth metric available only at AnnexWealth.com. For Dave Spano, the president and CEO of Annex, I'm Dan O'Donnell. This has been This Week with Annex Wealth Management.
Looking to build or remodel? Then check out the 2024 MBA Home Building and Remodeling Show, presented by Nuns, January 12th through 14th at State Fair Park. Meet over 150 exhibitors, and be sure to visit the Bell Bank Parade of Playhomes, the backyard area by XL Custom Contractors, and the Step Beyond Green to Healthy feature area. Don't miss the MBA Home Building and Remodeling Show this weekend at State Fair Park. Visit MBAHomeshow.com for more information.
Inherit a home, trying to avoid foreclosure, facing divorce, moving, have a hoarded up home, doesn't matter. Metro Milwaukee Homebuyer is ready to give you a fair cash offer as is for your home. Visit MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com. No fees, no commissions, just cash.
When you hire your local CertaPro painters, you get the power of a cut above. Decades of expertise to transform your home from so-so to virtuoso. The power of neighborhood painters. We live where you live and probably like the same pizza place you do. Put the power of pro to work for you today. Get your project started at CertaPro.com.
Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
It is Milwaukee's oldest home, and I'm proud to say that the owner chose us to replace its windows. It's a beautiful home in Shorewood. It's not big or flashy, but it is just gorgeous. And I'm so proud of the windows that we helped the owner choose for this home. As they sat in our warehouse before the install, I kept walking by and looking at them, saying to myself, we really chose the perfect windows. And I couldn't wait to see the results, which even exceeded my expectations. The windows we chose were from the Marvin's Signature Collection, which offers their broadest range of product types, sizes, configurations, and design options. When we choose them for your home, you'll experience the difference in every thoughtful detail with the highest level of architectural precision and beautiful aesthetics. Marvin windows are built around you. This is David Wilhelm. If you want to see Marvin's entire product line, come to Lisbon Storm Screen and Door. After all, we are your clear choice for more.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Are you tired of being tired? Go to AdventKnows.com.
Hi, I'm Vanessa Bayer, and this is my brother Jonah.
We're two siblings who love to talk about our childhood and nostalgia and how it shaped us into the people we are today.
Who are absolutely thrilled that the third season of our podcast, How Did We Get Weird, is now out on your listening, wherever you listen.
Check out episodes we've done with Will Ferrell, Jenny Slate,
Weird Al Yankovic,
Jason Isbell,
Kenan Thompson.
The list goes on and on.
Be totally tubular and listen to How Did We Get Weird on Will Ferrell's Big Money Players Network, on the iHeartRadio app, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Opinion, emotion, passion. This is News Talk 1130 WISN.
Conservatism, contemporary style. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show. It never ceases to amaze me, the absolute arrogance of the Biden administration. Not Biden himself. He has no earthly idea where he is. But the people who are just dismayed that the hoi polloi refuse to acknowledge how great a job Biden is doing for them. It's also remarkable. Whenever socialist-style administrations get into power, Obama and now Biden, they're great for the rich, not so great for the working middle class and the poor. Under Obama, we had what was known as the jobless recovery. Remember that? Job market wasn't improving, but the stock market was reaching new highs. Now, that's great for the investment class. If you've got $5 million worth of stocks, when Biden took office, you might have had, let's say, 5 million, okay? You might have 8, 9, 10 million right now, depending on how you're investing. And I was actually on oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. GB Network yesterday. It's a British television network. I think it might be owned by the BBC. I'm not actually sure. Well, it was a producer who I knew from her days at News Nation. A wonderful, wonderful lady. She took a new job with a network called GB America. Okay. And they had me debating I think he was a lawyer from Georgia. And I truly do not think he was ready for this. Just wide-ranging 2024 stuff. And the argument was over well, first of all, it was over Donald Trump and whether or not the prosecutions of him were politically motivated. It took me a grand total of probably 3 rounds of going at this guy to say, okay, if it's not politically motivated, why did the Fulton County District Attorney as well as the special prosecutor both visit the White House? What possible reason could they have to be at the White House prior to the prosecution of Trump? Moreover, why did the special prosecutor visit the White House according to White House logs as well as his own billable hours? Why was he there exactly 3 days after Donald Trump announced his run for the presidency? Moreover, why was it that special counsel Jack Smith announced that, well, he was appointed and then announced investigations into Trump right after he announced his run for the presidency in 2024? Finally, I got this guy to admit, well, I don't know. The timing, who cares about the time? Well, that obviously proves the point. But we also had a question about the state of the economy. Do you know what this guy said? Do you know what this guy, honest to goodness, no. He said, because I was hitting him with all these statistics about how the economy is not actually fine. The economy is great if you're in the investment class, if you're in the working class, if you're working paycheck to paycheck, which far more Americans than ever before now are. It's not so great. Do you know what he told me? Well, this is all because Donald Trump is a socialist president. Donald Trump was a socialist. Even the host was like, socialist? What are you talking about? He goes, Donald Trump was a socialist president because he shut down the economy. He forced businesses to close, and then he redistributed wealth because, and I said, ladies and gentlemen, I looked straight into the camera. Ladies and gentlemen, it has taken nearly 4 years, but we have finally gotten a liberal to admit that shutting down the entire country was a really, really bad idea. Trump, by the way, in his Iowa town hall did talk. He took a question about that from someone who said, look, I'm a small business owner. Will you ever shut down the country again? Trump, as only Trump can, said he's Clinton-esque in his ability to, how shall I put this politically, diplomatically, bend the truth. He said, I never shut anything down. I'm like, my brother in Christ, I was watching the press conference. We were taking it live on this show. 15 days to slow the spread. He said, Ron DeSantis shut down his state very violently. What do you have, armed goons going to every beach? No, DeSantis had a national profile primarily because he was the first guy who reopened. Remember the lawyer, the unhinged lib who dressed as the Grim Reaper and was just sort of walking around Florida beaches because Ron DeSantis was going to get all these people killed because he dared to reopen the beaches? Nonetheless, and this is not a Republican primary dispute. The issue was, and then he said, this lib says, Joe Biden rescued us from the Trump recession. I'm like, did you not remember that we were in a recession a little more than a year ago? Do you not remember that? In August of 2022, of course, we couldn't call it a recession because nobody has ever defined a recession as 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. Remember that nonsense? Or maybe it was August of 2021. I honestly forget. Couldn't possibly be in a recession that close to a midterm election. So, of course, they just redefined what a recession actually is. We were in one. Biden guided us into a recession. Oh, yes, we're going to hit a soft landing. We're going to hit a soft landing. Are we? Because this inflation number probably makes it more difficult for the Fed to cut interest rates. We're being told 6 times the Fed is going to cut interest rate. What possible reason could there be? That's nonsensical. It's not going to happen in a year. And if it does, you'll know that the Fed is in the tank for Biden. The idea here is to juice markets by getting the idea out there that the Federal Reserve is going to aggressively cut interest rates, which, by the way, are almost cripplingly high right now. Now, in historical context, they're not astronomically high, but when you've been at essentially 0% in the key Fed funds rate for, what, a decade? The Fed has kept interest rates at or near 0 for 10 plus years. Businesses have essentially become addicted to low and 0 interest rates. So when you're crafting monthly, annual, 5-year budgets, you're sort of taking that into account. What people aren't really, what was one of the big reasons that inflation ticked up? It's because all of a sudden you have to deal with higher interest rates. If your business wants to expand, if you want to take out a loan to say, I don't know, expand your office building or something like that, or to do something, it's costing you a whole lot more than it had essentially for the previous 15 years, really since the Great Recession. You don't think that has an impact? And then what happens to those prices? Well, naturally, in order to keep the same profit margin, to stay in business, those costs get passed along to consumers. And then what do the most gullible, moronic socialists in America think? Well, it's those greedy corporations. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm going to say this as simply as I possibly can. companies that are publicly held need to have profits to make more money for the millions of people who are invested in them and whose retirement income depends upon the stock price being at a given. It's like these people have never, and I'll be totally honest with you. In college, I was an English major, and I double majored in communication studies once I finished an English major early, knowing full well I was going to go to law school. Didn't really matter. I was like, you know what? I'm going to just major in whatever I'm good at. I was good at writing. I was good at speaking. Shocker, I go into that. Never took an economics course, but apparently am more financially literate than even Paul Krugman, although I guess that's not especially saying much. Conservative thought, not just talk. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show.
Conservative thought, not just talk. The Dan O'Donnell Show will be right back.
If you love football information and think you can profit from it, listen to the Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest Thursdays in the 5 o'clock hour. Mark and Mike Merlette from American Sports Analysts look at pro and college games. Plus, one listener gets to pick a game against a spread or an over-under number for a chance to win $100.
The Mark Belling Football Preview and Picking Contest is presented by Holiday Automotive of Fond du Lac. 6 automotive brands all in one place. It's worth the trip. HolidayAutomotive.com.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services. I frequently speak with people who are unhappy with their landscaping and they're unsure how to turn things around. Well, here are 4 tasks that will make a remarkable improvement to dull landscaping. Number 1, thick, lush green grass. We need food and water to be healthy. Our lawn care programs and irrigation systems provide your grass with everything it needs to thrive. Number 2, pruning. Regular, technically correct pruning keeps plants strong and vibrant. Number 3, plant bed edging and a fresh layer of bark mulch. There's nothing better than the look of crisp bed edges and fresh mulch. Number 4, landscape lighting. You finally have your landscaping looking its best. A landscape lighting system lets your landscaping come alive after dark. So there you are, 4 landscaping tips that amplify the beauty of your home. Please call Seasonal Services at 262-392-3444 or look for us online at seasonalservices.com.
Hi, Bob Pucci for the Take Kid Hunting Foundation. We're having the Waukesha Gun Show this weekend at the Waukesha Expo next to the airport. Show hours are Friday from 3 p.m. to 8, Saturday 9 to 5, and Sunday 9 to 3. Admission is $8, 14 under are free.
Snow on the ground means it's time to head over to Blaine's Farm and Fleet and stock up or restock your supply of snowy weather essentials. Shop great deals on quality name brand snow throwers, shovels, ice melt, and spreaders. Stay safe on snowy roads with trusted brands of tires and automotive batteries, jumper cables, antifreeze, emergency kits, and ice scrapers. Plus, we've got you covered from head to toe with great deals on boots, coats, hats, and gloves. Trust the cold weather experts and find value at Blaine's Farm and Fleet.
If you're someone who's experiencing spine and musculoskeletal pain or shoulder, hip, and knee pain, think Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Jay Weber here, talking about the doctors and techs that I trust with my shoulder problems. I've had issues for years with micro tears, not enough to warrant surgery, but painful and annoying nonetheless. I discovered that it wasn't a pain that I just had to live with, and Orthopedic Associates doctors gave me options to help the problem and alleviate the pain that I never knew were available. So if you're like me, know that you just don't have to live with it. And you will be impressed with Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin and their staff. I've never waited more than a few minutes after check-in to see the doctor or tech, and I've never felt forgotten in an exam room. Their physicians are committed to providing the highest quality joint care, from simple strains and tears to sports injuries to complex joint replacements. In fact, Orthopedic Associates specializes in same-day total joint replacements at their own ambulatory surgery center in Pewaukee. You can find them at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
Traveling for the holidays? Well, Pure Talk has you covered because they just added international roaming to over 30 countries. And here's the best part. There's no rate increase at all. Now, Pure Talk still saves the average family almost $1,000 a year with talk and text and data plans starting at just $20 a month. Now, from your cell phone, just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, make the switch, and do it now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Pound 250, keyword save now, and start saving on your wireless right now.
Your pet isn't just a pet, they're part of your family. Most of the pet food on the market is cooked at high temperatures, which kills nutrients. A scoop of Dynavite is a 3-in-1 daily supplement, adding back key nutrients to your pup's health. Try Dynavite for free. Just pay shipping and handling. Learn more at dinovite.com/radio. That's dynavite.com/radio.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynavite.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
The free iHeartRadio app has over 100 commercial-free stations waiting for you to explore right now, like 70s Rock Ride, Pink Floyd, Eagles, Van Halen, Tom Petty, Zeppelin, and more.
She was an American girl.
Try something new for 2024. Just open the free iHeartRadio app, search 70s Rock Ride, and listen now. iHeartRadio, free never sounded so good.
iHeartRadio.
Smart speakers put WISN's programs as close as the sound of your voice. Tell Alexa, Google Home, or Siri on HomePod to play 1130 WISN on iHeartRadio and listen to Milwaukee's best talk shows.
I don't think we'll ever see something like that, what's happened in the sports world over the past 2 days, ever again. Two men widely regarded as the greatest coaches ever in their respective sport stepped down in consecutive days. Stepped down, perhaps in air quotes. It was a mutual decision, like me and my girlfriend, Dave, who you haven't met. She goes to another school and she's a couple hours away. So and she's not on social media, so you probably shouldn't look for her. She is a 10, easy, blonde hair, great figure. She's gorgeous, just gorgeous. She goes to another school, though. Don't worry about it. We broke up, unfortunately. And it was totally mutual. It was totally mutual. We decided that we wanted to see other people. That's what's going on in a press conference scheduled to begin any minute now at Foxborough. Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick have mutually agreed to part ways. And it was mutual because Bill Belichick is already being mentioned as being the next head coach of the Atlanta Falcons or the Tennessee Titans. He doesn't want his career to end this way. The day before, in an actual retirement, Nick Saban did he ever formally confirm that or announce his retirement? Because the last I had heard was it was just a report. I think a formal announcement is probably coming. What I've learned in years and years and years of reporting is that when something isn't immediately denied, it's absolutely true. Saban, who won 6 national championships in his 17 seasons at Alabama, had one of the most incredible stats I think I've ever seen. He had 29 losses in those 17 seasons. He had 44 NFL first-round draft picks. That stat courtesy of ESPN Stats and Info. In a whopping 35% of seasons that Nick Saban coached at the University of Alabama, 35%, he won the national championship. That's stunning. Every time Nick Saban took the field with Alabama, he had a 35% chance of winning the whole thing. For Bill Belichick, that percentage was nearly as good. In 25% of the seasons he coached, he won the Super Bowl. In 38%, 37.5% of the seasons he coached, Belichick went to the Super Bowl. I mean, that's unmatched. Now, of course, everybody debate, well, was it Belichick or was it Brady? And Brady, I think in the last couple of days, I'm not sure if this was a quote that resurfaced or if he just said it a couple of days ago for the first time, but he was asked, well, was it you or was it Belichick? He said, look, guys, partnerships don't work that way. It's not one guy or another. It's the two people working together. Like, for example, this show. Is it me? Is it Dave? It's clearly me. No, it's a partnership. Every working relationship, even an organization like this, the Dan O'Donnell Show, grand total of 2 employees. Now, there are engineers who work for iHeartMedia, program directors, salespeople, all of this. But to put the on-air product on, it's essentially 2 people, okay? Still, Dave and I need to work together, and I think we work together very well. It's not one person, well, is Dave more responsible for Dan's success? No, nobody thinks about it like that. Anybody who's actually in a successful partnership or organization, think about your marriage. Assuming it's a happy one and a productive one, well, who's more responsible for the success of the marriage? What? No, it's not how it works. You could make the case, would Brady have been Brady without Belichick's coaching? Maybe not. Would Belichick be Belichick without Tom Brady being the greatest quarterback of all time? I don't know. Personally, I don't think Brady is actually the greatest quarterback of all time because I have never believed that wins or Super Bowls is a quarterback stat. It's a team stat. That's the other thing. We've gotten so lazy in our analysis of football that it essentially becomes a one-on-one game of not the Green Bay Packers versus the Dallas Cowboys, but Jordan Love versus Dak Prescott. Okay, I'm sorry. You've got defense, you've got special teams. You need to have an offensive line that's able to keep Jordan Love protected. Skill position players need to get open, need to run routes effectively, need to gain yards on the ground. I mean, there's all manner of things that go into it despite whether a quarterback is able to find an open man. Yes, the Packers have been winning in large measure because Jordan Love has been playing very good football over the last 6 weeks. Is that the only reason? Of course not. But in terms of Belichick, I don't really think it's arguable that he's, and I hate to use this phrase because it is the biggest sports talk radio and ESPN talk TV cliche. It's beyond argument that Bill Belichick is on the Mount Rushmore of coaches. And frankly, I think it's between him and Vince Lombardi for greatest coach of all time. And I can't think of a third. Don Shula, Tom Landry, Bill Walsh, George Halas would be up there. Who is the coach of the Steelers and the Steel Curtain? Was that Chuck Noll? He would be up there. Jimmy Johnson didn't win 3. He won 2. Barry Switzer was the coach of the 3rd Cowboys Super Bowl. No, he won the back-to-back, and then he had the falling out with Jerry Jones. Why do you think Jimmy Johnson was just inducted into the Cowboys Ring of Honor a couple of weeks ago, or maybe even last week? It's because he had a huge falling out with Jerry Jones, and then Jones, they had a mutual decision to break up. Johnson, I think, almost immediately went to Fox. They hired Barry Switzer from Oklahoma. No. It was 3. It was the back-to-back in 92 and 93, and then the Niners won in 94. The Cowboys won with Switzer in 95, and the Packers won in 96, and then, of course, the 2 Denver Broncos Super Bowl. Don't mess with me with 1990s NFL football, Dave. This is in, like, my wheelhouse. We are going to talk much more football with Mike Merlette on the Mark Belling Show football preview and picking contest coming up when I host the Belling Show starting at 3 o'clock this afternoon.